Now therefore, I, Randy Gore, Mayor of the City of Jacksonville, Texas, on behalf of the City Council and our wonderful citizens, do hereby accept his gracious donation and commit those funds to furthering the care of animals to honor the legacy of Mr. Stephen Franklin Worship. Signed this the 12th day of November, 2024. I knew Steve growing up, and he was a great guy, great citizen, he loved the lake. So that's so nice that he would do that. We appreciate it. Our next item is citizen participation. This is where we set aside some time to hear concerns from the citizens. We did have one, but it's associated with a public hearing, so that's more of an appropriate time to talk about that, so we'll get that there. Anybody else that would want to talk that didn't fill out a card? Okay. If not, we'll go to, we have no action out of the executive session, so we will go to item number 8, is our consent agenda. Items under our consent agenda require little or no deliberation by the council. It's approving the minutes, TikTok policy, and a road closure for the community event hosted by the Jacksonville Community Arts Alliance. I think we have 2 of our board members here on that one, so if y'all have any questions on our agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
We have a motion by Councilman Tim McRae.
I'll second.
Second by Councilman Rob Goen. Any discussion? Very good. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries. Item number 9 is our quarterly financial report presented by Finance Director Roxana Briley. This is the most exciting news you've heard about the finances of our city. So she and I have kindred hearts. So go ahead, Roxana.
Okay. I appreciate this opportunity to come and present the financial report for September, which is the conclusion of fiscal year 2024. This presentation will provide key revenue and expenditure trends, along with the year-end status update on fund balance, cash, and investments. And note, while this report does reflect the city's overall financial position at the end of the fiscal year, revenues and expenditures will continue to adjust during our 60-day accrual period. And final results will come in March when the auditor comes and makes an even more exciting presentation than this one. And as you can see up there on revenue, we've collected $37.8 million, which represents about 118% of our budget. And we have $38.7 million, which is about 97.8% of our expenditure budget. Some key revenue trends. Ad valorem and taxes, we collected $6.5 million, or 98.5% of our budget. This is a 5.8 increase compared to the previous year. Sales tax, $3.3 million, or 97.5% of the budget. This is a slight decrease from last fiscal year, but with the last couple of months of sales tax data, we are seeing sales tax trend in a more upward positive direction. Water sales, we've collected $3.6 million, representing 93% of the budget. This is a 5.9% decrease compared to last fiscal year. We had a very wet summer this year as compared to last year, which was much more dry. Sewer sales are up. That's mainly because we had the rate adjustments, which focused heavily on the sewer side of things. Sanitation fees, we collected almost perfect as far as the budget's concerned. And this is a 5.7% increase over last year. Ambulance fees, $952,000, or 99% of the budget, showing a 24% increase over prior year. Hot taxes reached 102% of the budget, reflecting a 28% increase over prior year. And municipal court fees, collections of $522,000 fell short of budgeted expectations, but were increased just slightly, 0.8% over last fiscal year. As far as expenditures are concerned, in employee services, we spent $11.26 million, which is almost perfect with the budget for this category. on to some of the capital projects. This is the Series 2024A COs. These bonds were issued to acquire firefighting and public safety equipment. These were the ones that we just sold in August, if you recall, and we already spent $2.95 million for 2 fire apparatuses. And we still have a balance of about $1.15 million. The Series 2022B certificates of obligation, these are for the streets projects. And of the $4.6 million, 1.7 has been spent so far, with a remaining balance of $2.6 million. The Jackson is complete, had $1.5 million, came in just right at what we budgeted. Then the 2022A certificates of obligation are for the Texas Water Development Board project to improve the city's sanitary sewer system. A total of 5.9 was budgeted, with $666,000 spent to date. Significant progress has been made on planning, design, environmental, and construction will be following. We have several parks projects. Butner Park fully complete at a budget of $280,000. Hazel Tilton Park had a budget just over $410,000, with $42,000 spent so far. And we are going to have to kind of reconsider the plans for this project, as when it went out for bid, the bids were considerably higher than our budget. Lincoln Park, $400,000 budget with $113,000 spent and $282,000 left for future work. These projects are all an important part of enhancing our community amenities and ensuring enjoyment of our public spaces. Fund balance, as you can see, at the end of 2024, our fund balances reflect a strong financial position. The general fund ended with a balance of $5.2 million, which exceeds our target fund balance of maintaining a 20% of operating expenditures. Currently, this is showing 34.7% of expenditures. The utility fund concluded the fiscal year with an ending balance of $7.99 million. And our cash and investments. The city's cash and investments, valued at just over $22 million, reflects a carefully considered balance between liquidity and safety, with 31.17% held in cash for immediate needs and 49.9% allocated to the eligible investment pools. You can see this is very similar to where we were at the end of June. We spent down a little bit more. Less money comes in at the end of the fiscal year, more money goes out. Now in October, that's starting to reverse. Does anyone have any questions about the report? All right. Thanks so much.
Great, thank you, Roxanna.
Thank you, Roxanne.
Our next item is item number 10, discuss and consider with possible action an optional addenda to lake lot leases. Mr. James?
Yes, Mayor, City Council, as we've discussed over the last couple of meetings, we have something for you to consider this evening. We did discuss this at the workshop as well. I want to stress that this is strictly optional, but staff is proposing an optional lease addenda to the 99-year leases that may be held on or around the Lake Jacksonville. Some of those are inside the city limits and some of those being outside the city limits. And the reason for this, and our city clerk, who's not with us this evening, generally handles a lot of inquiries related to the transfers of these leases upon sales of lake homes. And one thing that's come to pass over the last couple of years is there are some lenders who are failing to want to lend on the existing terms on a lot of these 99-year leases. They're down to about 35 years in many cases, and so lenders are saying, thanks but no thanks, you don't meet our underwriters' restrictions, and so then they're forced to find another lender who may be able to do that. But the solution to that, and I want to thank our city attorney, Brett Brewer. He did a ton of due diligence, a lot of that time spent with other city attorneys from across the state who deal with similar matters, was to come out with a 30-year rolling lease. So it would have a 30-year term, and every year when you pay your lease payment, you just have 30 years again. It just continually resets. So it's essentially in perpetuity so long as you're in good standing with your lease. It would have an inside the city limit annual payment due of $500 per year. That is inclusive of the current $200 per year public safety fee, and an outside of the city limit rate of $1,000 with an annual inflationary provision at 3.5%. That's also inclusive of the public safety fee. Rental charge adjustments would be potentially up to every 5 years, but not more often than that, and capped at a 10% increase over the prior year. And in the event that the city does need the property for any reason, it would require the city to compensate and pay fair market value for the property. Again, this is strictly optional. People who are on the 99-year leases right now, those remain even when they expire. They go to a 1-year rolling or revolving lease. However, you're going to have difficulty more than likely selling if you're down to that 1 year or even less than 30 years to anybody who needs lending. So this provides an opportunity for folks to opt into this lease, or for potentially their new buyer to opt into this lease.
Very good. So I'll entertain a motion, and then we can discuss it immediately.
Well,
No.
okay, go ahead.
Oh, you can. I'll make a motion that we approve the optional addenda to Lake Lot leases.
We have a motion by Councilman Rob Goen,
Second.
second by Mayor Pro Tem Tim McCray. Any discussion?
I do have one question.
Okay.
So, if there's a sale on the property now, the new purchaser would have the option of extending the 99-year lease or going to the new program. Is there strictly still an optional mechanism even in case it was sold, in case of a sale?
That's correct. They could assume the 99-year lease and the remaining term on that. It would not reset or extend to 99, but they would assume the remaining lease. However, the public safety fee would roll on at the $200 annually, so this is inclusive of that.
Okay, all right, thank you.
So if we had a cash buyer buying a current house out there, and there was 18 years left on the current lease, and they didn't need financing, they may or may not, it's optional whether they would. do it.
Strictly optional.
Totally optional.
Yeah.
Except for the $200 safety.
That's correct.
Correct.
Anything else?
I think we achieved the goals.
Yeah, I think
You
so.
know, when it was brought to my attention
Yeah.
7-8 years ago, I mean,
Right.
it was just a realtor going, y'all got leases that have 35 to 40 years left on them, and our clients are starting to have questions asked from a financing standpoint. And
Or
this, all this does is give people that option
Yeah.
of exercising it, and, you know, it's not complicated, it's not tedious, and it's pretty simple,
Pretty
straightforward, so.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries. Item number 11 is to discuss and consider with possible action approving the Second Amendment to the Chapter 380 agreement with Louvet.
Yes, Mayor, City Council, in partnership with JEDCO, back on July 22nd of 2020, City Council authorized a tax rebate via Chapter 380 vehicle for the construction of a 200,000 square foot or greater manufacturing facility, along with the creation of 50 jobs at a minimum investment of $5 million of taxable value for Louvet. They're the purchasers of Zyklus Heat Transfer that's currently with most of its operations in the 2000 block of North Bolton, I believe. That tax abatement, or rebate rather, was structured over 6 years, with the first 3 years being at 75% and years 4 through 6 being at 50%. The first amendment was made March 30th of 2023, and that changed the effective date or the commencement date of the rebate from December 31st of 2022 to January 1st of 2025. And the second amendment, which is before you this evening, would again amend that commencement of the tax rebate date to January 1st, 2026. A few weeks ago, Louvet did have a groundbreaking out at their facility at the Loop and South Bolton, so they're under construction on roughly a 200,000 square foot expansion of the existing 50,000 that they've already built. It's tilt wall construction. Louvet is based out of Italy, and this is their U.S. headquarters, so we're hopeful that that will continue. They have additional land there that they're already talking about, kind of a phase 2 even after this. I would say that this is very much in keeping in good faith negotiations with them. There were a lot of unknowns that played into this date shifting several times, COVID being the largest and most out of their control in terms of supply chain and their need to expand in the United States.
Thank you for that explanation.
You're welcome.
So I'll entertain a motion on that.
Mayor, I make a motion we approve the Second Amendment to the Chapter 380 agreement with Louvet.
We have a motion by Councilwoman Mindy Gallick,
I'll second.
second by Councilman Rob Goen. Pardon me. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries. Item number 12 is to discuss and consider with possible action awarding a contract for the relocation of city utilities required by the planned widening of US Highway 175.
Yes, Mayor, City Council, we've had several prerequisite actions on this particular item, but back in October of 2023, Council awarded a $111,000 design contract to SPI. And then bidding, procurement, and construction services award went to SPI for 82.5 August 13th of this year. And now we're at the point to ask for council's blessing on award of a contract to McKinney & Moore. They were the low bidder. You see the spread there. We were very blessed to receive 8 bids pursuant to the services from SPI and our relationships we have locally here and just getting the word out about the project. The bids were all generally clustered pretty tight. We had one outlier there at the top, Canary Construction, but the low bidder, McKinney & Moore, has local ties, and I believe is even considering bringing their operation here permanently from a business standpoint. But the low bid came in at just over $1.37 million. That does include a $200,000 owner's allowance, so there's basically $200,000 factored into that for any kind of change orders that the city may seek to execute. You'll see there EEOPC, that stands for Engineers Opinion of Probable Cost, and we came in about $500,000, a little more than $400,000 below that, so that's always a good sign because we budgeted for the 1.8. The upper right-hand side of the screen there is just strictly TxDOT's schedule for their widening of US 175, and this project's necessary to get city utilities out of state right-of-way required for that expansion project. So that's the schedule of the section from CUNY to Jacksonville, showing an estimated completion date in the summer of 2028. This project, if awarded, would likely start first quarter 2025 and take 6 to 8 months to complete.
Okay, very good. So I will entertain a motion on that item 12.
Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve the bid from McKinney & Moore for the utility relocations for the US 175 project.
We have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Tim McRae,
Second.
second by Councilwoman Mindy Gallick. Any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries. Item number 13 is a public hearing to hear and receive input regarding a requested zone change from A single family to B 1 and 2 family located at 902 Austin Street, described as Lot 1A, Block 99, SA and 3A, north 1/2 of 1 and 2, and W 15 feet of 3, Jacksonville, property ID 222283000.
It's a long caption.
It is.
Yeah, Mayor, City Council, this is a zoning request to take property at this southeast corner of Fort Worth Street and Austin Street from A single family to B 1 and 2 family. You see the table there of your zoning uses, so it's just ratcheting it down generally one on the residential spectrum. It did go before the Planning and Zoning Commission on October 15th of this year. It was unanimously approved by the members present. There was a quorum present, but it was only 3 members. And they unanimously approved it. This lot, about 2 years ago, there was a structure on it deemed substandard by the Zoning Board of Adjustment. Action was taken by the city to have that structure demolished, and now we're kind of in the redevelopment stage of that property. So I think it's overall really good for the neighborhood to see a dilapidated structure removed and now reinvestment in the neighborhood. I believe there's a representative of the applicant here this evening. Should the council have any questions, and he may have filled out a card.
Yes. So at this point, I'll open up the public hearing to hear anyone that wants to speak in favor of or against. And yeah, this will be your time, Mr. Hunter Townsend, if you'll just come and state your name. And
I'm Hunter Townsend. I'm representing the buyer on the property. I'm also one of the contractors on the bill that she proposes to do on the property. And just to speak about the buyer, she also is the one, I'm sure you are familiar with the property on Natchez and Dallas behind Chick-fil-A. So it's the same people involved in that property as the property that will be 902 Austin Street. So she plans to do the same exact thing as she did there, bring new construction. That's just what she plans to do. So I think it'd be great for the neighborhood.
you think the appearance will be somewhat like the ones on the Nature
Yes.
Street?
So on Nature Street, those are two duplexes, and there's 2 different duplexes, so we had to split the lot. This one's just gonna be one, and it'll be 3-2.
Okay.
Or two
And they will
units.
actually face
So there'll be
Fort
a,
Worth Street.
so there'll be a driveway on the Austin Street side, and then there'll be a driveway on the other side.
Okay.
So, kind of like the Nacogdoches Street property. I don't know if y'all are familiar with that one. There's a duplex there.
Yeah.
Gotcha,
exactly.
yeah,
So,
yes, sir.
Okay,
That's where Hans lives.
right. Okay. Thank you.
question?
You
Thank
bet.
you.
Anyone else would like to come and speak in favor of or against? Now's your time. Seeing and hearing none, we will close our public hearing and go to item B to discuss and consider with possible action approval of an ordinance granting the requested zone change. So I'll entertain a motion there.
I'll make a motion that we approve the ordinance granting the zone change.
We have a motion by Councilman Rob Goen,
Second?
second by Mayor Pro Tem Tim McRae. Any discussion we need to have? We're all good with it? I think okay. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Townsend, for coming. Appreciate it. Item number 14 is to discuss and consider with possible action an exception to the lake rules to allow for a pier to be 65 feet from the shoreline with a depth of 5 feet located at 1037 County Road 3108, City of Jacksonville.
Yes, Mayor, City Council, these are somewhat common, I would say. I think we've done 5 or 6 in the last several years. But in the event that the depth of the water at 50 feet from the shoreline at the lake, at normal pool elevation, which is 422, is less than 5 feet, our city building official may permit a structure to extend outward from the shoreline past the 50-foot distance, subject to 3 provisions. That's one, that it complies with the building requirements as part of the lake rules and regs. But number 2 is the one that we're here to discuss this evening, and that's that the Jacksonville City Council, by a majority vote of a quorum present for a duly called or scheduled city council meeting, determines that the proposed structure will not have an unreasonable or adverse impact upon the use and enjoyment of the adjoining lake lots and any approved improvements thereupon. And regardless of council's finding, at no point can a structure be built at a distance further than 75 feet from the shoreline. And so you see kind of a mock-up there and the location map. The mock-up shows that at 50 feet, the water depth was 3.5 feet. At 60 feet, it was 4.5, and at 65, that's when they hit the magical 5-foot depth. It does seem generally consistent with boathouses and structures in that area, specifically the one immediately to the south identified on that survey.
Okay. So I'll entertain a motion on the pier at 65 feet.
I'll make a motion that we approve this request to let the pier go out to 65 feet.
We have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Tim McRae,
Second.
second by Councilwoman Mindy Gallitt. Any discussion? And like James said, that's when you don't have enough depth, we have a provision to make it work for a boat or a boathouse or whatever. So that's great. If no discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries. Item number 15, discuss and consider with possible action approving a replat of lot 5R1 and 7R1 of the Redbird Lane subdivision.
Yes, Mayor, City Council, this is generally considered an administrative plat. It only affects 2 lots and does not create any lots. However, pursuant to our general practice, it is city-owned land, leased land. It's near the lake, but not lakefront. There's just a minor boundary line shift between lots 7R1 and 5R1, as they're currently lots 7R and 5R. I did my best to kind of zoom in on that very minor change in the upper right-hand side of the screen there. It's changing the westernmost boundary, or it's the boundary line that goes east-west, but it's just shifting it up to the north, just slightly on the west side of the property.
Okay.
Very inconsequential.
All right. So I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve the replat.
Have a motion by Councilman Rob Goen,
Second?
second by Mayor Pro Tem Tim McRae. Any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries. Item number 16 is to approve the certified tax roll as presented by the Cherokee Central Appraisal District.
Yes, Mayor, City Council, of course, as we're developing our budget, we get different versions of the proposed and kind of estimated, if you will, levy throughout that practice, as different properties are in different states of protest. We did finally get the certified levy amount of $6.6 million. This will generate about an additional, or not about, but an exactly $38,930 more than we budgeted the levy from the taxes to be. So this is a good thing for the city, but it's just a practice we have every year to do a final approval of this.
Okay. So I'll entertain a motion to approve the certified tax roll.
Make a motion, we approve the Cherokee Central Appraisal District Certified Tax Roll.
We have a motion by Councilwoman Mindy Gallick to approve the certified tax roll.
Second?
Second by Mayor Pro Tem Tim McRae. Any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries. Item number 17 is to discuss and consider with possible action authorizing the city manager to enter into a financing contract with First American Equipment Finance for the purchase of a Vector Impact Combination Sewer Cleaning Truck.
Yes, Mayor, City Council, as you're aware, the Finance Committee, which consists of yourself and the Mayor Pro Tem, the Finance Director, Assistant City Manager, and myself, we met last Thursday, as we do generally quarterly, and this was one item where you took a look at was an opportunity to finance the Vector. We do have this budgeted as a cash pay item in this year's budget, and we can certainly proceed with that. However, we just looked at a more strategic way of charting down the path of the purchase. The current Vector that we have that we'll be selling private party when we take delivery of this Vector truck was purchased via a 5-year capital lease. Annual payments were about $65,000. We went out and asked for proposals for financing the new rig. We received 2 at an opening held on November 4th. You see the rates there based on government finance at 5 3/4, First American Equipment at 4.56, both structured over 60-month or 5 annual payments. One was at 98 and 96 respectively based on those interest rates. We're asking, as we discussed at the Finance Committee meeting, our investments are yielding a little over 5% right now collectively, and so cash in the bank does us well. This would definitely stabilize and be a little bit more budget neutral for us, and we're asking that you authorize the city manager to negotiate and enter into this finance agreement with First American Equipment Finance at a rate at or below the proposed 4.56. It fluctuates day to day. We actually did see the Fed take a 1/4 point off interest rates, I think a day or 2 after this bid opening was conducted. So we would hope that when we need to actually execute the agreement to purchase the equipment when we take delivery, it may be just a little bit below this originally submitted 4.5%, and that there be no prepayment penalty on the note.
All right. I will entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I'll make a motion that we authorize the city manager to negotiate with First American Equipment Finance for the financing of the Vector truck.
Have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Tim McRae,
Second.
second by Councilwoman Mayor Gillick. Councilwoman Mindy, not Mayor, Mindy Gallick. Yeah, I was thinking of, I had a quick question.
Seems like she's out there all by herself.
Yes, she is, doesn't it? You said that they bid 4.56, but then when we initial the contract, that could go lower, but it's not a fluctuating interest rate.
It'll be fixed rate once
Fixed
we
rate
enter the
once we
agreement.
go.
Thank
Okay,
you.
right,
Thank you.
okay, that's good. All right, any other questions?
And simple interest on it.
Yes.
Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries. Item number 18 is to discuss and consider with possible action approval of an agreement with Stokes and Associates for engineering services for the Double Creek Wastewater Treatment Plant Upgrade and Expansion Project, TWDB project number 73955.
Yeah, Mayor, City Council, we do have representatives here this evening for the next 3 items. They're all generally revolve around the wastewater treatment plant and its expansion. So a high-level overview is that we're about to undergo a project to take its daily treatment capacity from 2.9 million gallons to 5.8. That's exactly a doubling of its capacity. So we'll essentially produce a mirror image of the current plant and upgrade the existing facilities to boot. And we're looking to engage Stokes and Associates pursuant to all the documentation that's already been submitted and approved by the Texas Water Development Board, along with the budgeted number of the just over $1 million that you see on the screen there. Among a long litany of things in the actual agreement, I picked out just a couple. They're the high-level ones. They'll be responsible for the discharge permit amendment to the TCEQ, various stages of environmental services, property acquisition and surveying, coordination, and then preliminary and final design. So they'll produce a preliminary design, various stages of percentage of plan completion for review by staff, and then final design to include procurement and construction phase services. So they'll help us with the bidding, the procurement of a qualified contractor, and then construction phase inspection services. You see a preliminary project schedule as submitted as part of the Texas Water Development Board application packet. I know we've been talking about this for years, and it's definitely a need. This is the heart of the city's entire sanitary sewer system, and it is the only wastewater treatment plant which we operate. But you see there at the top, starting with tonight's action to close the necessary loans and this work order with Stokes and Associates, all the way through an anticipated construction completion preliminarily projected at June of 2028. So, long-term project, much needed.
Okay. You've heard that explanation. I'll entertain a motion on that item.
I'll make a motion.
Steve
Yeah,
Wick of
oh,
Stokes
yeah,
and
I'm sorry,
Associates
yeah,
is here if
sure.
you have any specific questions. Randall's also a subject matter expert on the plant itself, so any questions, feel free.
I'm not smart
Anybody
enough
have
to
que-
ask
no,
you questions.
exactly.
I just know
But this
we
is
need
only the
one.
plant, this is nothing getting to the plant.
Generally,
The
yes,
getting to the
correct.
plant comes,
That was the 5.9 that's already been issued. That's one of the
Yes.
major trunk lines that ultimately gets stuff to the plant.
Right.
And there's other projects in the works.
so. I will make a motion that we approve an agreement with Stokes and Associates for engineering services for the Double Creek wastewater treatment plant upgrade.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilman Rob Goen,
Second.
second by Mayor Pro Tem Tim McRae. Any questions? If not, all in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries. Item number 19 is to discuss and consider all matters incident to and related to the issuance and sale of City of Jacksonville, Texas, combination tax and surplus and sewer system revenue certificates of obligation, Series 2024B, including the adoption of an ordinance authorizing the issuance of such certificates.
Sure, Mayor, City Council, quick lead-in before I turn it over to some of the council here this evening. I've made it on one slide here. This slide on the screen entails the information for items 19 and 20. However, you will need separate action on 19 as opposed to 20.
Okay.
But item 19 is for the ordinance authorizing the issuance of the certificates of obligation to fund the expansion of the wastewater treatment plant that I just discussed or described. On January 9th of this year, council did approve a resolution authorizing staff to request financial assistance from the Texas Water Development Board. Later that summer, TWDB did approve the city's financial assistance request. And then September 10th, at that meeting, the city council approved a resolution of the intent to issue certificates of obligation to fund the city's portion of the related debt to these improvements. Item 20, which is the really exciting part, this is over an $11 million project. But thanks to the Clean Water State Revolving Fund and Texas Water Development Board, over $8 million of that's going to be principal forgiveness. And we'll just be responsible for the debt on about $3.5 million. So with that, I'll turn it over to John Martin of Hilltop Securities.
Thanks, James. John Martin with Hilltop. Michael Martin, my partner and son. Casey Bird from Norton Rose Fulbright is with us this evening, the bond attorney. Thanks for having us this evening. We have great news, great overview from James there in terms of what's going on. The first part is just like any other certificate of obligation you all done in terms of where you all have borrowed recently for fire equipment and that sort of thing. Same type deal, except rather than offering these bonds in the open market, an underwriter or financial institution buys them. The Water Development Board buys them through their loan funds, where they sell out of a much larger pot of funds that are consists of bond funds, federal money, and so forth. So this is through their Clean Water State Revolving Fund. And so that first part is just the CO part that's issued to the Water Development Board. Then, as James said, the principal forgiveness, which is huge, $8,151,000 is going, it shows you there on the principal forgiveness. The Texas Water Development Board does take an origination fee for when they do these SRF loans. $62,000 is about 1.75%. The available monies for the projects total combined $11,567,000. Cost of issuance budget is about $77,000, and those are detailed on the back page. The next page is really illustrates what a great deal this is for the city of Jacksonville. We're really excited to present this. You can see that your existing payments in the second column there are running about $844,000, and this is just what is paid through your enterprise fund, just for water and sewer. This does not include tax-supported debt, right? So, or anything supported by JEDCO or anything like that. So, so you see 843, and then what happens is your new debt comes on. You can see the interest rate here. Please look at those interest rates. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So ranging from 1.77% to 2.63%, and that averages out to a true interest cost of 2.31%. So City of Jacksonville citizens are getting $11.6 million for 2.31%. Really, I mean, it's unbelievable. So part of it's zero, and then just the 2.3% on just the $3.5 million. So it's when you figure out the overall cost of borrowing, it's somewhere in that 1% range. So great deal for the city. We'll be increasing the debt service payments about $225,000 a year, and so you'll be at roughly $1 million a year debt service payments just from water and sewer type debt. So again, it's a great deal for the city of Jacksonville. The last page there details the cost of issuance budget. We have a normal fee for the certificates of obligation. You see that's broken down with bond counsel and financial advisor. LF stands for the loan forgiveness piece. That's just, we don't charge full boat, if you will, on the loan forgiveness part because there's not any debt really involved, but there is some review, and we still have to apply for those monies, apply for those funds. So there is some work to it. And then the standard attorney general's fee, paying agent fees, escrow agent, QSIP, and so forth. And as Roxana knows, when we close these issues, anything left comes back to the city. You can either stick it in your INS fund or and apply towards the project, your choice. Ms. Bird is here. If you have anything you want to add?
I think you covered it.
Okay. She's here in case you have any legal questions, so happy to answer any questions on item 19.
Thank you so much.
You bet.
There's specific language that needs to be read for item 19 and 20 in the motion.
Okay. I'll do it. I'll do it. So, on item 19, I will entertain a motion to approve. We already done that. No, I'm gonna read the motion. Here's the motion.
Yeah.
I move to adopt an ordinance authorizing the issuance and sale of City of Jacksonville, Texas, combination tax and surplus water and sewer system revenue certificates of obligation, Series 2024B, and resolving other matters incident and relating to the issuance and sale of such certificates of obligation. So we have a motion.
Second.
We have a second by Councilwoman
thought it was easier.
McRae. Any discussion on that item? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries. Item number 20 is to discuss and consider all matters incident and related to the principal forgiveness agreement with the Texas Water Development Board in connection with the Clean Water State Revolving Fund, including the adoption of a resolution approving the principal forgiveness agreement and an escrow agreement related thereto.
Yeah, Mayor, City Council, pretty straightforward. This is where the rubber meets the road on the forgiveness, and this we definitely want you to pass for the $8.1
Okay.
million of
Easiest
forgiveness.
one we have.
Yeah.
So I'll entertain a motion. Okay, I'll make that motion. I move to adopt the resolution approving and authorizing the principal forgiveness agreement and an escrow agreement between the Texas Water Development Board and the City of Jacksonville, Texas, and resolving other matters incident and related to the principal forgiveness agreement. I'll entertain a second. Second, we have a second by Councilman Rob Goen. Any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries.
Yeah.
Item number 21 is open forum for mayor and council. Anybody have
I don't know if I could say that. Did we just borrow $11 million, a little over 2%, and put it in the bank at 5%?
and only have to pay back $3 million of it. So,
That sounds like, that's the best
Sounds like
deal
a-
I've heard.
sounds like a great monopoly game.
No, really.
No, I,
Something seems wrong there.
yeah, we do. Exactly.
Can we have more?
Anything else? Nothing, city manager's report?
Just, I'll make it real brief tonight. Two items and then a couple just verbal updates. But back at the February 2024 meeting, council did authorize the police department to submit an application for some ballistic shields. This was a program offered by the governor's office after the tragedy in Uvalde. We ended up asking for, I think, about $150,000 of assistance, or for the purchase of 20 ballistic shields. We were notified last week that we got funded 117. So that'll get us 17 of these shields, fully funded, no match required, again, from the Office of the Governor. So in light of some of our other grant projects, that wait time between February and November, although it's longer than we wanted, is relatively quick turnaround. So we'll get those ordered and reimbursed. And the boating access grant project is officially underway. Our public and community services folks tore down the 3 structures out there lakeside last week, and the keys for the project are really kind of officially in Heartbeat Construction hands now, and so we're just looking forward to closely monitoring that. There will be fuel service interruptions. We put out a press release on that. We've done some Facebook announcements and pushed that out to everybody who subscribes for the Lake newsletter, and we'll be back hopefully in the next couple of months with a really top-notch state-of-the-art fueling system, faster pumps, all these things to address concerns we've had over the last couple of years with that. Want to thank all of our veterans. There was a wonderful Veterans Day program put on at Buckner Park today by the Garden Club. Chief Williams, I think he's our only veteran on staff that's here with us this evening. But we have a lot of our police officers and firefighters are veterans, as well as several spread through other city departments. So we appreciate that so much. Thanks doesn't go far enough. And trash is always top of mind. It seems we get a lot of calls about trash. And so just want to let you know, Thanksgiving will interrupt your trash schedule. There will be no trash service curbside residential on Thursday of Thanksgiving. Thursday pickup will be conducted on Friday, and Friday pickups will be conducted on Saturday. I'll leave you with that. Yes.
Sounds good. Well, if that's it, we will stand adjourned at 6:48. Thank you for your
Didn't get a text. That means that Michael still got burgers. So
Oh, there you go.
run down there and
I wonder what the
See you
line's
tomorrow.
looking like.
I don't know. I can text him.